Yo, let's talk about it. Welcome to Disruptive Minds. I'm your host, Jerome A. Curran. The A stand for always learning. Look, I'm looking at my notes. Well, it's one line of notes, and it says, "You've been treating the symptoms, not the source." What do I mean by that? When I talk about coping skills, when I talk about sex, alcohol, drugs, food, and work, those are how you cope. You're coping with something. What are you coping with? That's the problem. The issue is, what are you coping with? What are you coping with? What are you coping with? You're coping with the fact that first you were conditioned as a kid. You were born and you were conditioned as a kid with religion, environment, people, and social media. Social meaning the apps and social meaning TV. You were conditioned a certain way. And in that conditioning, you also had your gift. And when those two things collide with each other, your conditioning typically always supersedes your gift. However, there's another saying that goes, ideas buried are never dead. So ideas buried are never dead. What does that mean? It means you get ideas from your gift. Your gift is giving you ideas. Okay, you should do this, you should do that, you should do X, Y, Z. However, because of your conditioning, you don't do it. Does that idea go away? Nah, you're just burying it. And when you bury an idea, it grows into something else. It grows into something that's probably not good. So as you're living life and going through this and you're like, damn, I should do something different. I should be doing this and doing that. However, your conditioning is saying one thing. What do? Coping skills. Sex, alcohol, drugs, food, and work. Because these two things are constantly colliding and you're constantly having these issues, how do you fix it? Glad you asked. It's something I call reps. Reps is religion, environment, people, and social media. That's the primary foundation of your psychology, of your mental health, of your subconscious mind, is your reps. All right? With your reps, you have, they can be changed. We'll say it that much. Your reps are your paradigm, is a set of ideas. They can be changed, but it's a process that you have to trust to change those reps. You can't just, like, when people say, what do people like to say a lot? People like to say, what's that one saying? I'll just change my mindset. You can't just change your mindset. Change your mindset is not like changing a set of tires or changing your oil. You just can't wake up one day and your mindset is different. It's a process you got to go through, because you're talking about the foundation of you. The foundation of you is your mental health, your subconscious mind. That's your foundation. That every decision that you've made in your life is coming from your foundation. Every decision that you've made came from your foundation. And you're talking about this changing that overnight, like wake up one day and be like, oh, my foundation's changed. It doesn't work that way. It's a process you got to go through. Because first you got to go through the process of saying, damn, I made all these decisions. What if all the decisions I made were wrong? And that's going to mess with your mind. You're going to be like, you've probably made so many decisions about relationships, money, jobs, where you're going to live. You made so many decisions based off of this bad foundation. And you may just be like, I'm just going to ride this out. Because me changing myself now, the age I am now, is it really worth it? Is it worth it at this point in my life? And that's where we get at. That's why so many people just like, hey, I'm just going to keep doing it. That's why people say, what is it? It is what it is. Same concept. Because you're sitting back, and when you have to do what I call the reset, you have to look at the reset and be like, I'm going to reset my life, which means the decisions from here forward is going to be different than decisions I already made. Man, that's a big step. That's a big step. And it shouldn't be taken lightly. The reset should not be taken lightly. That's critical. That's why a lot of people don't want to do it. Because you have to evaluate everything about yourself, which is your religion, environment, people, and social media. And you may have to change major things about your life. What if your relationship isn't the way you want it to be? That's the people part. Do you, in your relationship, do you continue to go on with it? What about where you live? Definitely religion. Huge problem. Religion. Social media, not so much. You can maybe delete Facebook or stop watching this on TV or Netflix and not watch this, that, and the other. You can manipulate the social media part. But when it comes to religion, environment, and people, these are big things to deal with. However, and here's the however, here's the good part about it. Once you look over your religion, environment, people, and social media, and you look at it from a fresh set of eyes, and you go through the process, your gift will start coming up to the top. You'll stop having less issues. You'll stop having, you won't have to deal with coping skills as much. You're still going to be there, yeah, but it won't be such a big task. You won't always wake up and be like, you got to smoke or drink or, sex, alcohol, drugs, food, and work. You don't have to do all that. You realize how more at peace you're going to be. You're going to realize how much calmer you're going to be. And people are going to see that. And that goes back up to the people part. Are you going to be able to cut those people off because you're no longer the person you used to be? You're used to you being a certain person. You're no longer that person. How's that going to work? And the longer it takes you, the more years you let go by, the harder it's going to be. That's why I tend to always talk to younger people versus older people. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about do not pour new wine into old skins. What does that mean? It's hard to put new information into old people's heads because they're stuck in their ways. It just takes, you could teach an old dog new tricks, but do you want to spend all that time, energy, and effort where you can just go and talk to somebody who isn't already beat up? Just saying. Just put it out there. It's called reps. It's called the reset. It's a critical part of your life. If you want things to start working a certain way, you have to hit the reset. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. That's the definition of insanity. It doesn't work that way. Get the reset. Start the reset. Work with the reset. Come on.